Hush, we're young. The National Youth Authority has joined the nation in mourning their passing. Now in the studio with us is the CEO of the authority, Osman Ayariga, himself a former president of the National Union of Ghana Students, to reflect on how today's youth can draw inspiration from the legacies of the fallen, especially those who once served as student leaders. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you, and good evening to your cherished viewers and your listeners as well.
Good evening, and condolences to all of us.
It's been a tough week, but I think we're still forging on. By the grace of God, we'll find strength and we'll find some solace in the words of the Bible.
We pray so. We pray so. Now, the NYA has suspended your Youth Month activities, just to honor the memories of the fallen heroes. Apart from this, are there other things you are going to be doing just to ensure that you remember them properly?
Yes, the NYA, if you quite remember, this month is Youth Month, and we earmarked a series of activities which was termed as the Youth Festival. And tomorrow actually marks the International UN Youth Day, which globally all youth across the globe will be celebrating. So tomorrow we'll issue a statement in solidarity to all other countries that are still celebrating the International Youth Day. But we've put our celebration, our activities on hold until the nation and the country is done mourning. Then we'll be able to activate ourselves and activate all body cams and continue with our activities. But we are planning on having a special lecture on our fallen heroes who were actually serving the nation, considering the fact that most of them still fell within the youth bracket, and most of them have served all through their lives from their youthful age to their current age. The pilot, the squadron leader, the other fly and assistant, the other sergeant were all within the youth bracket. So we should be able to do something to, also keep young people within that strength to be able to move.
Now, looking back, and how active they were in terms of student leadership, just as yourself, do you have any similarities when you look at what they did, and how your own experience was? Would you share any similarities?
Yes. Example, Dr. Omane Boama was one person who inspired so many young people, especially student leaders. And to be very honest with you, the appointment of the likes of Dr. Omane Boama, Okujeto, Ablakwa, Mutala, etc., when Professor Mills emerged as president, actually gave the youth and the student leaders so much hope for you to understand that you are not far from the future. Because these were people we learned from, these were people we looked up to, who were very close to us. So their appointment made us understand that the youth can actually be given the opportunity to serve in this country. And during that time, from 2008 to about 2012 and even beyond, they served as mentors to most of us who were still student leaders. I quite remember late Dr. Omane Boama actually offered to write my acceptance speech or my swearing speech when I won as NUC's president. Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's how close he was to most of us who emerged as student leaders. And he would call you and try to mentor you. I think you should do it that way. You should do it this way. You should go about your campaign that way, because he himself was a NUC's president. So he clearly understood the nooks and crannies and the dynamics of far as student politics was concerned. So at the time, if you're contesting the election and you walk to anybody, I need mentorship, some of the MPs would just tell you, oh, go to Omane and Ablakwa. They are the student leaders. So they were able to carve that niche that they were mentoring a generation of younger politicians from the student wing all the way into mainstream politics. So, I mean, it's come as a huge blow to most of the young student leaders. And I know NUCS is also planning something to honor them, because Honorable Mutala as well was also the General Secretary of the All African Students Union. Before that, before you can contest to become ASU rep, you have to be elected within the NUCS Congress. Then you are sent as a rep from NUCS to ASU. And when you get to ASU, then you can now contest to become the Secretary General of the All African Students Union. So Honorable Mutala was also a product of the National Union of Ghana Students. So these are people we looked up to even our days as student leaders, and people who nurtured us in our days as student leaders. For example, with Honorable Mutala, when I was done with NUCS politics and I was done with school, at the time he was also Deputy Information Minister.
Right.
So I was there, he called me, young man, you're done with school, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm doing myself. Come on, go and start communicating for the NDC. So, I mean, the first time I even got onto the studios of a television or TV to speak for the NDC, it was Honorable Mutala who actually
interesting.
Yes, he called and said that put Osman on that. So by the time he was Deputy Information Minister, and I quite remember that station was TV Gold. I think there are no more. It's now only Radio Gold. At the time they had TV Gold and Radio Gold. So you realize that these are people who actually nurtured many young people into the party.
When you look around today, do you see a certain crop of youth leaders who are also coming up, students who are also being groomed? You remember you mentioned a name, and when they came in through Professor Mills, it looked like a group. You could look at Dr. Mutala, you could look at Sam George, you could look at Okudzeto Ablakwa. There were a group of people that we saw were being groomed, if I could put it that way. Do you see that a trend happening today?
Yes, I mean, if you look at the current appointment by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, you see another crop of very young generation. I mean, talk of myself, talk of the likes of Edoji, talk of Sami Jemfi, talk about so many of us. You realize that these are many Malik, etc. You realize that these are a group of young people in the same age brackets. So you realize that every generation has, talk about even the Ashanti Regional Minister, he was my junior in Nooks politics. I think I handed over to 2 other people before he became Nooks president. So you realize that every generation has its group of politicians. Now, beyond us two, you realize there's another group that is emerging. Talk about the likes of Raymond Tamaklo, talk about Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, etc. There's another group of young politicians also coming up. So it looks as though we looked up to our elder generation. They are also looking up to us. So we are also nurturing and keeping them to come up to us. So because what you know is that today I may be CEO for National Youth Authority. I may have to go above National Youth Authority because I cannot remain at National Youth Authority
somebody
forever,
needs
because
to take
my
over.
age at a point will not even permit me. I will not be youth. So somebody has to take over. So you realize that there's that succession plan. And I think consciously or unconsciously, this kind of recruiting many young people to join the party started from the time of maybe when the likes of Haruna Idrusu was youth organizer. So Haruna Idrusu, then he got a crop of very young people, the likes of Omane, Okudzeto Ablakwa. By the time, you remember, there was what they call the CJA.
Yes.
CJA, Committee for Joint Action. Now, beyond the Committee for Joint Action, today also went into government. They now recruited the likes of myself, Hamza Suhini, the likes of Edoji, the likes of Sami Jemfi, all of us in that category. So beyond us, there's another batch of, and it's not consciously done, but you just realize that when people find themselves in a certain age bracket, they are able to put themselves
Students
together.
are graduating every time, so by all means we'll have them. But are there current trends in today's student activism, that you can credit people like Dr. Omane Boama and Dr. Mutala Muhammad for?
Yes, I mean, you from even their lifestyle alone is something that so many young people learn from, and I'm a living testimony to that. I mean, every time Dr. Omane Boama will call you and try to nurture you, even as a student. And it was so much for me, especially, that as a student at the time, he was a deputy minister for environment, science and technology, that as a student, a minister will call you and want to nurture you. Oh, you didn't say this well, you didn't say, you could have said this better, even as a student. So, and that was very big for me. It's not about money alone, but for someone of that caliber and level to call you, mean that someone is watching you and someone is actually taking time to observe what you're doing, and that alone was enough. Even the likes of Mutala example, Mutala was someone who didn't mind to give so many young people the opportunity to excel, because he himself, some people feel that, well, if we nurture so many young people, they may come and shine over us and our space will be taken. But Mutala was someone who never feared to share his space with anybody. Once you were shining as a star, he was ready to help you excel. And that's one great thing about these two gentlemen. That's why today we are all all saying all the positive things we are saying about them. So, I mean, the likes of Mutala and the likes of Dr. Omane, the student fraternity from nose to ASU, we know that we've lost very serious jewel and serious.
Meaning that even after leaving school properly, they never left, you know, student politics. They made sure that they were always there to groom the younger ones. That was their case.
Exactly, excellent. And they try to attend most of your programs, they try to attend most of your projects, they try to support in any way that they could support, because student activism is very difficult, and it's in light of that that some of us still associate ourselves with student politics, because just as we were nurtured by this older generation, I still don't expect today in their age and level they'll still have time for them. So it's part of my responsibility to help nurture a next generation of very responsible leaders.
So looking at where you are today, you know, as the CEO for the NYA and also Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC, how would you describe how impactful these two have been in your life?
They have been very phenomenal. Not just my life, I don't want to sound selfish, but personally I've had very positive impact from them. But as a generation, we have had very positive impacts from these two great gentlemen, especially when it comes to youth development, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to student activism, when it comes to perseverance. Example, the likes of Dr. Omane Boamah. Do you know Dr. Omane Boamah contested twice to become NUC's president? He contested the first one when he didn't make it. Then he contested the second time before he made it. The likes of Mutala on the University of Ghana campus, you know, he was an activist before he even came to the level of contesting for All African Students Rep to All African Students Union Secretariat, and beyond that he actually contested to become the Secretary General, which he was able to take. So their lifestyle in itself is one that has taught us to be perseverance, the act of perseverance, and that alone is enough for us to understand that the student fraternity and the young people of this country have lost very great mentors, and the NDC especially has lost very huge mentors that would have continued to mentor the next. Because for me, I'm not done learning from them, so I think it was just too early for them to exit.
So if you would be describing these two great persons with a word, what would that be for Dr. Omane Boamah?
Excellent.
And Dr. Mohammed Mutala Mohammed?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Thank you very, very much. Osman, for your time. This is indeed a difficult moment for all of us, and we wish you